The LLC, also known as the Limited Liability Company, and the corporation are two of the most popular business entity choices for foreign entrepreneurs. It's important to keep in mind that LLCs and corporations are used differently, depending on the type of business that's currently being conducted. In today's video, I am going to talk about whether or not a foreign entrepreneur should form the LLC or the corporation. And I'm going to do this by asking 5 questions. Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm the managing attorney here at Freedom Through Business, where we help entrepreneurs just like you start your businesses, grow your businesses while staying legally compliant. The purpose of these videos are to provide you with as much clarity and guidance in the beginning stages of starting a business. So if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like, subscribe, as well as the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos. These videos are for educational purposes only, and so make sure you speak with a professional prior to doing anything. With that side note out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about whether or not a foreign entrepreneur should start the LLC or the corporation. There are many different factors to consider when trying to determine whether or not a foreign entrepreneur should start an LLC or a corporation. There are 5 key questions a foreign entrepreneur has to ask themselves. The first question a foreign entrepreneur is going to want to ask themselves is, where is a business? Is a business a startup? Is it currently in the growth stages? Has a business even started? Or is a business already ginormous? Is it already a very successful business? Which one is it? Depending on where the business is, if it's a smaller operation, then a foreign entrepreneur is going to want to consider starting an LLC. However, if the business operation is already a large operation, then in this case, the foreign entrepreneur is going to want to consider the corporation. In this scenario, the LLC is going to be the more popular option over the corporation. And the reason for this is because a lot of entrepreneurs are currently in the beginning stages of starting a business. They haven't expanded, they haven't grown the business, they're just in the beginning stages. And so in this scenario, in the beginning stages, it's good to consider an LLC. If a business is already large, it's already operating on a large scale, it's already producing a lot of income, then in that case, that foreign entrepreneur may want to consider the corporation. The second question a foreign entrepreneur is going to want to ask themselves is, do they plan to obtain outside investors? What I mean by this is, does the foreign entrepreneur plan to work with angel investors? Do they plan to receive funding from some sort of third party? If the answer to this question is no, then that foreign entrepreneur is going to want to consider the LLC. If, on the other hand, the answer to that question is yes, they do plan to look for outside investors, then that foreign entrepreneur is going to want to consider the corporation. And this is mostly for tax purposes. When it comes to tax purposes, when it comes to receiving outside investors, typically the corporation, specifically the C corporation, is going to be the better option. This brings me to the third question to ask oneself, and that is, how much paperwork do I want to have to deal with? If a foreign entrepreneur wants the most simple type of business structure that requires the least amount of paperwork and requirements, then that foreign entrepreneur is going to want to consider the LLC. If, however, the entrepreneur plans to hire an accountant, if that foreign entrepreneur plans to hire a bookkeeper, if that foreign entrepreneur plans to set out payroll, that's going to require additional paperwork. And when it comes to a LLC versus a corporation, the corporation is what requires more paperwork. In other words, LLCs are the easiest business entity to actually operate, manage, and control. There's not as much paperwork, there aren't as many requirements, there aren't as many legal requirements, etc. However, a business that's on a larger scale, where they're hiring accountants, where they're setting payroll, where they're making a certain amount of money or more, then that foreign entrepreneur is going to want to consider the corporation. So this raises the question, why would a foreign entrepreneur ever form a corporation over an LLC? And the answer to that question is actually quite simple. While a majority of entrepreneurs choose to start LLCs for its simplicity and flexibility, foreign entrepreneurs who already have a large scale business with a lot of moving parts consider the corporation. So in short, if you are a new entrepreneur, if you are just getting business started, getting the business off the ground, then the LLC is going to be the better option over the corporation. This brings me to the fourth question. What requirements do I need to meet? A lot of foreign entrepreneurs look to open a US business bank account. Maybe they want to open a PayPal, maybe they want to open a Stripe. Point is, their main goal is to open a US business bank account. Typically, as a foreign entrepreneur, there are issues with trying to open a US business bank account. However, there are certain requirements that a non-foreign entrepreneur can meet. And once those requirements are met, the foreign entrepreneur can then open a US business bank account. So ask yourself, what requirements do I need to meet? If opening a US business bank account is one of your goals as a foreign entrepreneur, be advised that the LLC and the corporation both meet the requirements. There's this false belief that the LLC does not meet certain requirements that a corporation does, but that's actually false. An LLC is very similar to a corporation, and while they're different, they both satisfy similar requirements. So a foreign entrepreneur who's looking to open a US business bank account, they need an EIN number as well as some sort of business entity. And so in this case, the LLC and the corporation both meet the necessary requirements. Because the LLC requires less paperwork and formalities, again, the LLC is the most popular option when trying to meet the requirements of opening a US business bank account. And the fifth and final question a foreign entrepreneur needs to ask themselves is, do they see themselves changing the business structure of their entity? Typically, this boils down to tax elections. An LLC is very flexible. And what I mean by this is an LLC can be changed throughout the course of its life. An LLC, for example, can be converted from an LLC to a corporation. An LLC can be taxed as its default tax election, single member or multi-member if there's multiple owners, or it can be taxed as a C corporation or as an S corporation. Again, there's that flexibility LLCs provide. And so depending on your business structure, business plans of business expansion, etc., the LLC is the most flexible business entity. A corporation does not allow conversions. It does not permit ease of changes. And so when it comes to flexibility, the LLC takes the win. Deciding on an LLC or a corporation can be confusing, but hopefully this video helped out. If you happen to have any questions about anything that I talked about in today's video, make sure you leave a comment down below and we'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. If you happen to enjoy this video, please make sure you hit the like, subscribe, as well as the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos. It's time to invest in yourself. It's time to rise.